Pardon me. Games. Board games. Board games. I might be talking about board games. Board games, but I'm not gonna shout. I am talking today about 2022 and all the things that I did not do and the things that I did do as well. Some of them were brilliant, some of them were swell, but some of them were not so good, and that's the things that I'll tell you about. I'm going to tell you about the things that I'd rather have done differently or that I learned from, and I'm not gonna shout. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. 10 a.m. ish UK time for Busy Beats and Board Game Blether, and episode 865. I'm talking about what I learned from 2022. It is the 3rd of January 2023, and I'm thinking about last year. What did I do? What would I have liked to do differently? But not only what I would have liked to do differently, it's not necessarily about regrets, but it's also about learning. It's about growing as a person, just coming to these realizations. And as it says at the bottom, firstly, I learnt that not all cons are equal. I mean, that goes without saying, but it's my initial proposition of making a new game for every single convention. I'm not sure that was a great idea because you need to really, everything you do, sure, the 2 p.m. events, I changed them and the price structure, what I give away, it changes from convention to convention. And how I entice people, like at UK Games Expo, I just say, well, it's at 2 p.m. There's a big banner that says come at 2 p.m. And if people really like a game, and oh, by the way, if they bought, once they've bought games, I will tell them, oh, by the way, come at 2 p.m. But, yeah, conversely, at a small thing, I really need to push it out. And you say, hey, do you want to come right now? Hey, this is happening, and try to. You'd need to work differently. And at a small convention like Dicini, I didn't even have a 2 p.m. event. Every convention is different, but like not every convention wants new games to be released, and I should have released them all at UK Games Expo. I need to work with people. I mean, I learned, and I need to have a regular thing where I work with people, both for my mental health. I mean, I feel like it does me so much good to get together with people, even when it's online with Kirsten Lunda. I've benefited so much, and it's kept progress going on Questable, where we've been working on this and chatting to each other once a week, or going in, and I only did this once, to Camden Games and helping out. I mean, I really need to work with people, and for myself, having Chris come over once a week was the thing that allowed me to make games so frequently and manage to cope. And without Chris there, yeah, I have been really struggling, and yeah, I need to have that human contact both for myself but also for but also to get things done. And aftercare matters. When you release a game, it's not enough to just, well, I say just, it's not enough as a self-publisher to have the design, the illustration, the writing, and then you do the marketing, and then you get it in a place so people can buy it. You also need to do that to aftercare. You also need to make sure that there's videos of how to play. You need to make sure that people continue to get signs that they should be buying the game, and that goes into the marketing and the Kickstarter. And yeah, the Kickstarter is a form of the marketing. And yeah, this is basically what I learned, but I'll examine it in a bit more detail in a minute. Hello, Yoda. It's lovely to see you. I hope that you're having a generally good morning. What have you been up to? Let's talk about some of your recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. Yeah, 2nd of January,
I didn't play any games in real life. I did play a whole bunch on Board Game Arena. Still have lots of turn-based games going on. I got a turn-based game going on the 1st of January with Xate and Michael and Black Sheep and people who were here who said that they wanted to play. And For Sale, I think For Sale is probably the one game on Board Game Arena that's like, yeah, this is nice. It works well. It's not too long. I mean, Catan turn based. Oof, that's too long. But For Sale, it's a quality game, and it really benefits with. I think 4 players is a really good number. Um, when you go to the highest player counts, I think that seating order matters a touch too much. When you're at 3 players, I think the it's a nice game at 3, but it gets a little bit, ooh, I need to do that, but then they need to do that, and then okay, so and it's about the seating order again, but in a different way. And but yeah, I do like it. I think I actually tend to prefer turn-based games at their lower player counts. I've just realized. Yeah, with higher player counts, I only tend to enjoy them if they are properly simultaneous. Like Sushi Go or Seven Wonders. I mean, even though again, I would rather play Sushi Go at 2 or 3 players because I can analyze it and really think about it. And at 5 players, it's well, I've no idea what's going to come into my hand in the second to last turn because of the I only see each. You don't see each hand like that much. Anyway, what have you been up to? What have you enjoyed? What? Let me know. How has your been? The other thing that I got up to was yeah, I went outside for a couple of hours. I did. I gave presents to all my neighbours. I hope that they enjoyed them. But yeah, I went outside. I um went to a bar thing. I'm going to actually have a small tangent about um I don't know whether to call this trans phobia. It's not really transphobia. It's how can I put it? It's unnecessary gendering. And so I was at a social event that finishes at 7, and during that I got there like feeling a bit anxious. Got there like maybe 5:30, and we hung around for like an hour or something afterwards. But anyway, someone um misgendered me a couple of times. And afterwards, we were chatting and we were saying, oh, it sounded like we might see each other again. So I said, hey, just to let you know, I really feel uncomfortable with you um, misgendering me a couple of times. And firstly, they went into this long rant, like about how they never misgender me. And then I said, please believe me, you did. And then eventually they said, okay, well, even if I did, I'm sorry, I see human as human. And I say, great. But you do gender people sometimes, and you are using those words. So it is part of your vocabulary. And they say, oh, I don't, you should be more confident. And if someone calls me a girl, then I'm not bothered. And I say, well, for trans people, gender is a stronger part of their identity than for cis people. And I am I right in assuming that you are and they were born as a man and they are a man, so yeah, they're cis, but maybe they didn't understand this word, so then they got defensive and said, how dare you call me a cis man? I'm not a... And then their partner who was there with them said, yeah, you are, because she understood what I was saying. And she said, yeah, you're a cis man and I'm a cis woman. That's what it means. And no, what if I don't associate as a cis man? And they said, well, you probably don't associate as a person with 2 eyes, but you still are a person with 2 eyes, because um, the point is that anyway, so I feel like I slightly leveled up in that, yeah, there was a lot more ranting on their side. They were speaking for like a minute at a time with me. I mean, you probably can't tell that. When I'm talking with someone else. Obviously, I'm not doing a big monologue like when I'm streaming, but yeah, I feel like I slightly leveled up. And at the end, they were like, okay, sure. And I had to show them the Collins English Dictionary definition on my phone until they believed that it was a real word. I mean, wow. Anyway, but brilliant thing, it's a little thing which is brilliant. I'm going to say a brilliant thing is support from bystanders. I think that that's a brilliant thing, because in that example, at one point when the partner said, yes, you are a cis man and I'm a cis woman, and like they were kind of supporting me, or when having someone interject in the conversation. So, because if you see someone having a conversation and you feel like, yeah, this person's in the right, I want to support them, don't assume that they've just got it. Be a mindful bystander, actually get involved and tell them that, yeah, that you agree with this thing, and maybe even do it when try to do it when the person that are discussing or arguing with is there, because yes, having the support of a bystander means a lot. So yeah, as always, comment, ask questions, fun, like, follow, and let me crack on with what I talked about at the start. So firstly, not all cons are equal. What does that even mean? So here I'm thinking about my decision to make a game for every single convention, and that was silly. I mean, let's look at all the conventions. The Friendly Board Gamer Con I went to, that was small. I didn't sell it. I mean, it wasn't like I went there and people are, oh, cool, a new game, I must try it out. So it's like, oh, people who knew me was like, oh, here's a Bez, and Bez has something, and I'm going to check it out. And that was like maybe 3 people. And then for everyone else, like maybe a handful, like it was a convention of like 50 people. And then for another, let's say 10 people, it was a case of, oh, here's this person that I've never heard of. What games have they got? Because even though I like to think that I've been to a lot of conventions, even though I like to think that I've got some awareness of my stuff that has grown, there's a lot of people, even within the UK, who still have no idea who I am, and they might go to conventions. So sure, it's worth me going to Friendly Board Gamer Convention if it's just up in Letchworth, where it's, yeah, going to take me about an hour to get there. But every convention, I need to approach it in a different way. I mean, firstly, yeah, releasing a new game at every convention, no, that was a terrible idea. And going to a Gamers Gaming Getaway and releasing a game, I actually released 2 games at that convention, and I probably got I don't know, maybe 20 people playing my games over the entire weekend. And maybe I I don't know, one of them was, each of the new games was probably played by about 15 people, which sounds okay. It was played like twice. They were played about twice or 2 or 3 times, and that doesn't feel good. That felt a bit sad. Like, it felt like, why did I do this? It wasn't worth it. Why did I put in the effort? And I don't want to do that again. I want to actually, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to go again necessarily. I just wouldn't want to put in effort to make things or do things that I hope will get people excited, but end up not getting them excited at all. I mean, that's a place where no one knows me. Yeah, like at the Gamers Gaming Getaway, hardly anyone knew me, so I might as well have just had all the same games that I had, a month ago. And at KCON, actually, there it was kind of worth it, because even though that was a small convention with maybe 200 people, a lot of those people had seen me at UK Games Expo. And so I don't, yeah, I went to Tabletop Scotland, made a game, went to KCON. It's another game. So, hey, there's 2 new games. Come and check out this new game. Was it necessary? Oh, I don't know. Like, even there, like, most of the people who'd seen me at UK Games Expo, it wasn't like, I mean, in my mind, I had this idea, oh, every convention, a new game. People will prioritize that. People will say, oh, what's the new thing here? What have you got? And there were probably 2 or 3 people who did do that. 2 or 3 people who said, hey, I like your stuff. What have you got that's new? Great. Let me try it. Let me buy it. And that's immensely rewarding that people are enjoying those specific games, that people are. But yeah, next year, I'm probably going to release all my new games at UK Games Expo. I'm trying to think if there's any reason for me to not do that. Oh, either at UK Games Expo or at my leaving party. Those are the only 2 times I'm going to release new games officially. I might sell new games to other people at other points, like kind of, fulfill the Kickstarters, but then I'll wait until it gets to UK Games Expo and then that will be the official launch. Because when I go to UK Games Expo, like I've got exposure, yeah. I mean, if I release one game at the start of the year at Friendly Board Gamer Convention, which I will be going to again, I think all the conventions that I went to last year for the first 8 months, I think I'll still go to, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'm not going to release a new game there. No, I'm not going to release a new game at Dicini. I mean, who cares? Like, Dicini people, none of them see me anywhere else. I'm not going to release a new game at Tabletop Scotland. I mean, my leaving due is like a week before anyway, but people there, a lot of them don't come to UK Games Expo. And whereas UK Games Expo, if I say, hey, I've got 5 new games, they would put all of them on a list, and then I would get tables at a preview event, and I'd get to speak to a whole bunch of press people. And if the press people learn that, hey, Bez is releasing a whole bunch of new games, I mean, that looks cool. And so, yeah, I should really be prioritizing releasing games at a big event. And I know that that's a simple thing, but I think that's one thing where my whimsy kind of overtook me, and I didn't think through the realism of actually what it means to release a game at every convention. Also, like when I look at the way I approach stuff, I think about the 2 p.m. events. I've not done the 2 p.m. I've not done the 2 p.m. events at Dicini. I made a decision. I'm only going to do it at ticketed events. So if someone's wandering and wandering out, if it's a market style place, then don't bother with it. If it's a place where people go in and then they stay for the day because they've bought a ticket, okay, there, 2 p.m. events make sense. Should I have done 2 p.m. events at a Gamers Game Getaway? Yeah, I think so. Because that was the one time when I was like, boom, this is what I'm doing. Similarly, Friendly Board Gamer Con, what am I going to do there? Because it's also a case of how much time do you stay at your table? In the Herefordshire Gamers Mega May charity event, also next year being called Here for Games event, I wasn't at the table all the time. It was like one really big room. And sometimes I was there. Sometimes I came back to have like a quick game of something else. I mean, I tried to be at my table for the most part, but a good chunk of it, I mean, a good like 30-40% of it, I was just wandering around, saying hello to people and jumping in a couple of other games. And a Gamers Gaming Getaway, Dave, when they said, hey, come over, it was made clear that it was going to be like that. That, hey, come and then jump in on these things and see how it goes. Like Friendly Board Gamer Con, am I going to be at my stand from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m.? No, no, no. But when am I? I don't know. I would almost, yeah, probably, yeah. But I'm going to allow myself to wander away a bit because I'll be there. I'll have some games. I'll hopefully share the joy of my games. There's lots of games that people might not have seen. I mean, yeah, there's a couple that I made just released in the past couple of months. And so I think that I will be there for the 2 p.m. event, and that makes a big highlight. But I'm going to allow myself to wander and then to be like, yeah, I'm going to join you for this quick half-hour game. I wouldn't join someone for like a 40-minute game, but like, sure, I'd sit down for a half-hour game and hopefully see if I can. But yeah, it's how much do you treat that as I am enticing other people to come here versus I'm just going to go and enjoy it, because you've got to enjoy it sometimes, and not every convention is going to be a profit-making venture, and not at, and there it's not at every convention where being at your table all day is worthwhile. I mean, Daisini, sure, I want to be at that table all day. I mean, it's a relatively small thing, but I want to be there all day. But for friendly board gamer convention where people are there for for a long time. I mean, I really I want to be do the 2 p.m. events, and that will be like the one thing. Each convention needs its own approach. Like UK Games Expo, if you want to help me at UK Games Expo, I would love to have you. I'll probably start getting stuff. Oops, didn't mean to pop that up. I need to work with people. Yeah, I already talked quite a bit about this, but Chris coming over once a week, giving me someone to sound out ideas with, and helping me just scan stuff. And sure, the graphic design, and that was helpful, and I've found someone who can help me with that, but it's having someone actually to sound out ideas with, someone that you can consider a partner. I mean, having that makes such a big difference. And I think that for people who are saying, oh, we're a very small team, we're only 2 people, if you're more than one, bless your cotton socks that you have that partner. Please, even one person makes such a massive difference. And I think this is the key thing to appreciate, that one more person sharing your vision. I mean, there's very few places that, unless generally, I kind of assume that most indie places are going to be like 2 or 3 or 1 people. But if you've got like a partner, someone who shares in the work, who shares in the reward, who isn't just a contractor to then, I mean, not that I contract people to do my illustration, but not just a contractor to do the illustration or the graphic design, or as I do, or to do your printing for you, but someone who's jumping in whenever needs be. And it's like, oh, I am invested. So yeah, I'm going to go on the interviews as well. I'm going to do some marketing and share the word about this on my own social media. I'm going to pick up the slack. Hey, how can I help? Is there something that I can do? Someone who's actually invested in the success, ideally as much as you are, that makes such a big difference. And it doesn't really matter whether it's a waged person or whether they're part of, the share, as long as they really care about it. I mean, having Chris was just such an amazing thing, and that made a big difference. Releasing so many games made me realize that aftercare matters. I mean, it's really important to be able to say, hey, yes, this is the rules. Oh, make sure that people understand how to play and check up on the Board Game Geek stuff, but also have video tutorials, because once you've bought the game, it's not just about they've bought the game, but you want them to be able to learn the game easily, whether that's from the written rules or from a video, and have it up there where people can be like, okay, this is the thing, and I am going to play the thing, and now they play the thing, and then they tell other people about it, and that's how games grow. That's how games go viral. And I mean, it's a very slow form of being viral, but over the course of 2 years, even if you are a very small person, it will continue to grow if you're able to keep affording to share it with people, and people will learn about the game and like, yeah, this is a good game. I want to buy that game that I played with my friend. So aftercare really matters. Make sure that people have a great experience, not just to the point of purchasing, but beyond, like with the video tutorials and all of that, and anything that you can possibly do. The final thing is obviously the marketing. Like this kind, yeah, like some of those how to play playthroughs, it's important to get it into the hands of people who do that sort of content. Like Board Games for Life, they do amazing stuff. I will give any of my games to Hella and Lena. Are they Dutch? I think they're Dutch. Board Games for Life, and you know there are certain people who like I want to give all my stuff to them, and it doesn't matter whether they like an individual game or not. Although obviously, if someone praises something, then that's going to bring more people to my thing. And I guess that's a conversation for another day. But the point is, yeah, making sure that games get into the hands of many people who are making videos or tutorials or posting pictures or whatever, or changing opinions. Like, it really matters. And Kickstarter is kind of a form of marketing, and it's sad because in theory there shouldn't be any difference between me running a Kickstarter versus saying, hey, here's a new game, it's on my shop, buy it now. But there is, and people do react differently. And Kickstarter, I mean, because I've run a few Kickstarters now, some people are following me on Kickstarter, so they see my stuff, but also it feels like, okay, this is an event, and I am going to try and work out how to make those better and smoother events. I think that going forwards, I'm going to use the Bezzy bargain bag model as this is a thing, and this is going to be available at a convention, and for people who subscribe to my mailing list, I'll tell them, hey, it's in my shop now, go and buy it. But then after those 50 copies are sold, which I'll probably be selling at UK Games Expo, I will then do a Kickstarter for a boxed edition. The idea being that, well, the boxed edition would have exactly the same graphics. Well, I would get all the graphics ready before the Kickstarter, and I know that yes, now it's just a pre-sale, but now it's a case of, okay, I'm printing 1,000 of these, and can I do that? And I'm going to mix together a bunch of different things. So yeah, it is kind of almost closer to a P500 system than a traditional Kickstarter, where I basically need 500 copies to be spoken for at least before the rest of them is kind of financially viable. But it's sad to think that Kickstarter isn't really the case of funding a single dream. But in another sense, it's encouraging because it's not just about funding a single dream. I mean, sure, my first Kickstarter was about this one game, In a Bind, now known as Yogi, and I'm really privileged to have had that succeed. And now Yogi's like, It's not the biggest success, but it sold hundreds of thousands of copies, which is enough that I've continued to get an income from it. And it's hopefully going to be revitalized and do even better. But the point is that it's not just about that one thing. It's about the whole. I mean, Kickstarter is a way to make stuff by Bez viable. Kickstarter is a way that I can say, well, I'll sell 4 games at a time, and if you want these 4 things, then buy them. And having 4 things together, it makes it more cost effective to send over. And yeah, I'll do it in packs of 4, I guess. I mean, if I release 2 new games next year, then that will be me up to 4. But anyway, it's just a reminder that I hope this has been useful. It's been a bit of a bladder for me. And if this has been at all useful, if you feel like you've learned anything, then please do let me know. At this point, I want to ask you the question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. My question of the day is, what's your favorite top 3 drinks? Okay, my number 1, I really want to say water, but honestly, I can't. I'm going to say water with effervescent vitamins in it. What I like about this is that the effervescent vitamins give it a little bit of flavor. I just feel like, yeah, they add. I'm able to drink it. Number 2, I'm going to say tomato juice, partially because it's red, partially because it's low in calories, and I drink it and I feel, yeah, I'm really satisfied. And I could drink tomato juice and alternate that with water, maybe, not mix them together in the same glass. That's a bit rank, but like number 3, like, do I want to go fruit juice or do I want to go tea? I am actually going to go a warm, hot chocolate, dark chocolate, no sugar. So not hot chocolate powder, just cocoa powder, milk. Yeah, no sugar, just boiling milk in there, no water, no sugar. That's my top thing. Balance between health and taste. Over to you. What are you up to? You can share button if you want to. What are you up to today? Is there anything you want to share? Is there something you want to do? Something you need to do? Please share. I promise I care. Trains are problematic today, and I am feeling super stressed about traveling. So I'm thinking, you know what? I should just cancel it and just be like, yeah, I'm going to stay in London. So maybe I will do that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to, the thing that I should really do is focus on the stuff to be posted. That's it. Post stuff, find scissors, maybe do a bit of tidying. Recap and wrap up before we finish up. So to recap and wrap up, I learned last year that not all cons are equal. I need to really maximize the strengths, and if it's a really big convention that's going to give me exposure for a new release, prioritize for new releases at that time. If it's a smaller con, like, don't necessarily even feel like I need to be at the table all the time. I mean, for the Here 4 Games event, maybe I'll have like a break of a couple of hours where I just say, well, I'm wandering away for this couple of hours and I'm not going to be there. I really need to be with people, whether it's getting outside, going to a social club, going out dancing, going to playtesting with other people. These are all great for my mental health. But what I really need is someone to be like a partner in business, whether that's, ideally it would be someone who's like, yeah, let's both work the same amounts and let's go 50-50 or whatever. But otherwise, it would be a case of, okay, someone that's like Chris, where I paid them an hourly salary and they just allow me like pick up the slack, working physically together. That's the key thing for me. Aftercare, like making sure people have the video tutorials, and if there's any questions that they don't know, and making sure that yeah, I think it's important to watch reviews, and if they get a rule wrong, mention it in the YouTube comments so that people know that this is wrong. Yeah, Kickstarter, think about it more from the case of making the company viable rather than making each individual project viable. Because honestly, at this point, most of my projects, none of them are going to bankrupt me. It's a case of, but if a number of my Kickstarters did badly enough, it might mean that I stop doing things totally. So it's more about the continued viability of me making games rather than one individual thing. Does that make sense? And yeah, that's what I learned last year. Hello, Xate. It is lovely to see you. And Xate says, you can pay me to work in the same space if you want. Of course, I'll still be doing my own work, not yours. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great trade. I mean, and also, presumably, I'd have to pay for your flights to come over if I want to see you. But I do get to see you. I mean, well, that reminds me, I need to book my flights from Frankfurt to London. But yes, that's something that I should definitely do today. But yeah, it's lovely to see you. And for now, if you want to check me out, I am that. Well, that was the end of my recap. I'm Stuff by Bez in all of the places. Stuffbybez.com/streams will tell you what I'm up to tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and go through some 2023 predictions with Jessica Medringham. We'll be, yeah, chatting about last year a bit, chatting about next year a bit. When I say next year, I mean this year that has already started. And yeah, trying to make up our predictions. If you want to make up your predictions as well, then please do so. And I'll try and play a game, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better attended. You're allowed to have up to 3 predictions. It has to be measurable, and yeah. Share, spread the word. Thank you so much, everyone. Lots of love. And for now, the only thing left for me to say is, as always, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song to do. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone. Lots of love, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.